I always wanted to run for alderman, and I never had the opportunity. And I realized here, unfortunately rather late in the race, that I could run for alderman here. There wasn't any reason not to.
I find Rebecca Janowitz to be probably the most knowledgeable Chicagoan I've ever met. She knows neighborhoods, and she understands what makes up a neighborhood and what allows a neighborhood to thrive and to grow.
I've gone to forum after forum and talked to people who have really earnest questions that reflect actual involvement with some of the core issues.
And I really think that before we tax poor people further, we should look at putting our fiscal house in order.
This neighborhood, this collection of neighborhoods that is the 43rd Ward, has some of the most striking and individual architecture in it that gives a grace note. So you see the modern buildings, and then you also have the older buildings that add value to everybody's view of the street because they're on a human scale and because they're so ornate and so interesting. They're so individual.
She's a no-nonsense person who speaks her mind, but not in an emotional way, but in a very intellectual way of someone who has a deep understanding of the bigger problem.
Why aren't we talking a little bit about what you could actually do? What one individual can do who is running for alderman. That individual could not take any money from developers. That individual could stick to the facts when discussing policy issues. I was lucky to have an interesting conversation with a local resident about a zoning issue of the street where he lives. Nobody wants to live in colonial Williamsburg where time stands still, but anytime a new element is introduced into a mix that's currently really working for the families that live on a street, you have to be sure that the new element is being introduced in a way that's thoughtful and really involves the people who are already living on the street.
The surprise that we had was how difficult it's been to engage the alderman's office on this whole matter. It's really been months and months of trying. We managed to get a single meeting with the alderman and a single conversation. And it really appeared that she was not as informed as I would have expected, given that her staff has been dealing with this quite extensively.
We have communities in the city now that are starting to resemble the south suburbs, which have been a real headache for some time now, where there are so few people. You can't bring in a business because you don't have enough customers to begin with. And we really have to focus on the threat to the entire city that is posed by neighborhoods that are being allowed to deteriorate so far and so fast. Because writing off a whole area of the city and allowing it to be completely de-densified, to have it be simply a war zone, the cost of that long term is a lot more than the cost of keeping a school open, and also making sure that if you want the school to have enough students, that there's some place to live near the school that a working person can afford to live in.
So those are a few of the thoughts that I have for practical solutions. That's my focus, and that's the focus and the track record I'd like to bring to City Council. Thank you.